I'm Tim Albright with AVNation. Technically, we're at CEDIA 2016, but we're going to talk about ISE because my good friend, Mr. Mike Blackman, is here. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you, Tim, and great to see you here at CEDIA.
Yeah, I see you almost as much in the States as I do in Amsterdam.
I like to travel.
Which is neither of our hometowns. So, but it's ISE's hometown.
Amsterdam's our hometown, but as you know, ISE is a joint venture between CEDIA and Infocom.
Yeah.
So, I come to the shows because I need to be there. My teams are here doing acquisition. When a CEDIA show does well, we do well because people come out of here buzzing on how well they did and they want to book up for the next show. And we say, well, okay, we're the European solution.
You're the next show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the neat kind of symbiosis, right? You got, from a calendar standpoint, you have ISE that starts in February.
Yeah.
Starts the 7th of February this year. Then you kind of have a couple months off, 2 or 3 months off, and then you got June, which is Infocom. Then a couple more months off, and then you've got CEDIA. Yeah. And before any of us have a chance to rest, it's February again. It's February again.
Yeah.
So it's a good,
like a
good
hamster
point.
wheel.
Yeah. Jeez.
Actually, when we started, it was one of the there used to be another partner involved as well, which was NSCA in March. So we tried to find a time of the year that wouldn't clash with people's calendars. And that was the only slot available. August is a really bad month for trade shows.
Oh yeah.
July, August. So we said, okay, what's left? January, February. So there we go.
There you go. One of the things, and we talked about the fact that it's a joint venture between Infocom and CEDIA. One of the neat things to watch as somebody who's just recently started attending ISE are the little bits and pieces that each show will grab from each other.
Right.
It's not stealing, it's getting ideas from one another, right?
We share those ideas.
Yeah.
We consciously share those ideas. When we see something at CEDIA or Infocom that we like, we go to the show manager or the person who has ownership of that, and we say, hey, we want to do that ISE, can you help us? And they say, well, that's the partner, or that's how we do it, can we help? They introduce us and bring it in. I think one of the things is the drone pavilion.
Yep.
We saw it at Infocom and we said, wow, this is a topic in Europe. How can we do this? And Jason took us over. In fact, it was Jason told us to come have a look.
Yeah.
And he took us over and said, okay, and he introduced us to Kevin Kelly, and we set up the whole thing and said, okay, yeah, we'll do that in Amsterdam. And then we see it here as well. It's now in CEDIA as well, and it's something that fits in all of us. We have this common group of exhibitors that are in all the shows, so it's a nice community actually as well.
It is, but even though you have the same type of things, each show makes it their own. Each show makes it different.
Absolutely.
For not only the market, but also the cultural. I guess the best way to put it is the cultural market, right? Not only in the States, because let's be honest, commercial is a different culture than residential. And then you take it all the way over to Amsterdam and the European and the Middle East market. Not only do you have different markets, commercial and residential, but you also have a completely different culture altogether.
And we have to adapt as a result. But sometimes that adaptation gets taken back as well. Some of it, because we've approached it in a different way, sometimes the other guys, either Ron or Jason, they look and say, well, actually, we like what you did there. Why don't we try that in the States? And they improve it. And then we see what they improved and say, well, actually, that's good. Let's take it back again. So there's this sharing of ideas. It's something we see the benefit of actually doing that, and it makes sense.
It's a nice it's an evolution of ideas, which is kind of neat to see as it goes around every calendar year. Well, let's talk about the show. Like we said, it starts on the 7th of February, 2017.
4 days again.
4 days again.
Yeah. So last year was the first time. That was the introduction of our 4th day. It was a tremendous success.
Define success. Define success for me for that.
Well, we always look, and whatever show goes on, whether it's 1 day, 2 days, well, not 1 day show, 2 day shows or whatever, there's always a last day.
Yeah.
And the last day is going to be quieter. Now, what our problem was that because of the attendance we have, we were finding day 2 was overcrowded, and day 3 was getting quiet late afternoon. And we said, okay, we're having a problem with capacity. And we had a lot of exhibitors coming to us and saying, look, we need more time because we're running off our feet. We don't even have time to take bathroom breaks. We want to see a 4th day. And we debated this for 3 years. And as those 3 years went on, the problem became exasperated, it got worse. And we said, okay, let's do this. We did a poll of our exhibitors to get some ideas and feedback, and they said, okay, let's do it. what happened is, and we were all nervous to start with. Every time we do something new, we're a little nervous. We do our best, whatever we can. We try and make sure we're doing the best things to make it work. We throw a lot of money, a lot of promotion, a lot of ideas to actually make that fourth day work. But you're still nervous until the end of the day. But on Thursday night, which was the end of the third day, I had 3 manufacturers came to me and said to me, Mike, the fourth day has been a great success already. And I'm thinking, hang on, we're not even there yet. And they said, we're still not having any bathroom breaks. And last year we were able to take a break at 4 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock now and we're still crowded.
Okay.
So it's already worked because the last day is tomorrow. And they said but what happened was the next day we actually had a great attendance and up until about 3 o'clock. And then it started to taper off. We closed at 4.
Yeah.
So that became our last day. But we still had substantial amount of people on that last day. We had over 15,000. Our second show in Brussels, we only had 12,000 attendees for the entire show.
Wow.
So we had 15,000 on the last day, 65,000 in total. So for us, a success in terms of what we see on numbers. But more so when we get the feedback from the exhibitors saying, yes, this was worthwhile. This has been a good way to actually stretch to spread our investment, because once that booth is up, it's paid for. Whether it's there for 1 day or 5 days. So the only incremental costs are actually accommodation, food, etc. for the staff, and the staff costs. But your staff costs you're carrying already. It's just they're not sitting in the office; they're sitting at the show.
Yeah.
So that's negligible at the end of the day. And many of them came back and said, well, okay, this has been worthwhile because the extra business we've done on that day.
Wow.
So that's how we measure success.
All right.
But more so, we had some companies who, when we did our poll, they called, we talked, and said, well, we're not sure, but we'll give it a try.
Okay.
And when those companies come back and say, that was a good idea, then you know you were successful.
Absolutely.
So,
see, because you turn around not necessarily the negative or the naysayers, but the people on the fence.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Let's talk about the exhibitors for a second. And as a manufacturer, whether it's a U.S.-based manufacturer or someone outside of the U.S., why should they exhibit at ISE?
Well, this business, if you're looking for new customers, they got to find you somehow, and not everybody comes knocking at your door. What we do, if you want to do business in Europe, we get the people who are in this business through the doors in Amsterdam.
Yep.
So if you're a new company looking for that marketplace, we are the de facto #1 show for the AV residential or commercial business, both ways. There are other consumer electronics shows that take place. There are other smaller events that cover parts of the market. But we deliver the channel, so in terms of the distributors, the integrators, the custom installers, we deliver the consultants, and for those in the commercial market, we deliver the end users, commercial end users, the specifiers and buyers. So if you're coming, and most companies who are coming from the US, the first thing they're trying to do is get distribution, and they're all there. It's the best place to find these guys in one place and do your fashion show and find out who do you want to work with.
So about that, you guys for the last couple of years, you had their kiosks.
Yes.
Basically, it's a matchmaker for distributors. I'm a manufacturer in X country. I'm looking for a distributor in this country.
Well, we have two things. The first thing we have is for all of our manufacturers who are exhibitors, we have something called M2D, manufacturer to distributor, and it's a free for all our exhibitors where they put up on the screens. It says, okay, I'm looking for a distributor in Italy and in Germany or in Portugal or whatever. And if you're a distributor, you're attending the show, you can go and look at that board and say, okay, I'm looking for new lines to actually distribute. I go to this company and that company, etc., because I know they're looking for people in my market, and I think I have the skills to help them. So that's the first one. The second thing we do, we started a new initiative about 3 years ago, because we started to look and say, okay, how are we going to see our growth in the future as a show organizer? And our big companies, they're not going to grow much because they've maxed out and said, okay, we're happy with the space we've got. But the small companies are where the most growth is, because when a big company doubles, there's a lot of space. But when a little company doubles, it doubles and doubles, so it's exponential in the end where they're getting. So we want to see more of those small companies for two reasons. It's feeding our pipeline for the future, but it's also making the show exciting for those people. One of the arguments some people always say, well, if I go there again, I've seen everything. But if you come back and there are another 50 new companies exhibiting who you don't know, then it's still a good reason to be there. So we said, how do we help new companies come to market? So we created something called the Discovery Zone, where instead of putting them at the back of the hall with all the small spaces, we split the small and big booths, get a good mix, so we don't have this progression of getting smaller and smaller. You go around ISE and you'll have the big 1,000 square meter booths next to a 9 square meters.
Yep.
And we like that mix, it helps everybody. But the second thing is, the little companies, it's like the feeder fish, the big whales are in there, and because everyone comes to see the big whales, the little feeder fish get the attention as well.
Yeah,
so we try to create that. We put the discovery zones into places where a lot of traffic.
Okay.
Now, we're fortunate in the design of the Rhine means that we have a lot of spaces where we can't put big booths anyway. It's suitable for smaller ones, but because they're conduits, narrow spaces going through to other spaces, it forces all the traffic, people going in there. We said, let's put those little companies in there where the attention will happen. They don't have to fight for attention because everyone has to go through there. So we put discovery zones in places like that. It's only for 1 year. We subsidize it, so it's sold at it costs us money. If we put in the cost of all the elements we put into it, what we pay for the floor space, what we pay for the elements, everything else we put in there, it costs us money. So we have to limit it. We're not a charity. We have to limit it. But what we do is give those companies a lot of exposure to catapult them into Europe and find the partners they need. And when they come back, they have to take a normal space. And it can be the same, a little bit bigger. Discovery Zone spaces are normally about 6 square meters. The next size up is 9.
Okay.
So it's a nice way to introduce new companies to the market. And that's an initiative we started. We see it's been very successful. We have a lot of companies who thank us because they say this is an entry level they can afford to test the market.
Oh yeah, absolutely. To test the market and see if it's viable.
Absolutely.
Right? Talking about people who attend, whether it's a European person or someone in the States watching or listening, why should they attend ISE?
The best place to see the best in AV.
Okay, there we go. that works. It's a question that we get, right? I mean, we're a U.S.-based media company, and it's a show that I've kept an eye on for a lot of years, just from a two-different standpoint. I love the concept of a commercial and Resi together. You guys have done a fabulous job over the years of bringing in people from a keynote standpoint and from an attendee standpoint. We go for two reasons. There are more and more U.S.-based integrators going.
Yes, that's true. That's not our focus.
But they are coming.
They're coming, and I think that's an evolvement of the way the industry went. When we started ISE, all the product announcements used to happen in June at Infocom, in the commercial space. And all the product announcements in the residential space either happened at CES in January or at CEDIA in September. What has happened as ISE has evolved, suddenly there are a couple of times. So we pick up the stuff that's coming out from CES because it's 2 weeks later that the Europeans haven't seen. Plus we get everything which is new in the market on the commercial side and the residential side that hasn't been there. And so the industry now has a couple of stepping stones for product announcement and involvement. So that's the reason why non-Europeans come and should come to the show, because they get another bite at seeing what's coming up, all the new product launches, and there are lots going on at ISE. So that's one reason. Now, we're not trying to actually cannibalize all of our shows.
No.
But there is a community, a very core community of industry people who move around to all of the shows. It's nice actually. When I go to China and I say, hey, still people in the aisle that from all over the place, and this is nice. But more so, it's the nature of the business. The fact there are more times. If you want to see what's up to date, then you need to go to all the shows. So that's the one reason. The second is that a lot of people who actually come from the US to ISE are sometimes manufacturers who haven't decided yet to exhibit. I saw one guy today who said, I wanted to come in last year, but I couldn't find the space I wanted, so I came and walked the floor. And I actually did business, he said. I got some partners, and this works because I have no problem with it. Some people say, well, isn't that leeching off what we're doing? Actually, I don't think it is, because those companies, they suddenly realize in the end, if I can do that sort of business walking the floor, what could I achieve when I have my own space?
Yes.
So we see a lot of that going on, and we have no problem with it. We try to help and give hospitality to all of our attendees and all of our exhibitors, and make sure that it's a useful experience. We put resources in, like our business lounges, where people can actually go and have a break, have a meeting, put their feet up, have a coffee, use the Wi-Fi.
Very important.
Yeah, use the Wi-Fi. We put a few of those things around, because there's certain spaces we're not allowed to put exhibit spaces in, so some corridors or some corners near the restaurant. We said, let's put the facility in. So, and I do, why these things happen? Because I used to go to shows. I hate to go to attend exhibitions. No, I used to go to shows and say, wow, I've got so much to do in the office. And now I focus and say, well, okay, I know I can get Wi-Fi, I know I can get a place to sit down, and I'll take that time to go and deal with my email or the odd phone call that needs to be dealt with on that day. So I say, if I want my attendees to have a good experience, then they need to have the facilities that make it worthwhile. They say, well, I don't need to stay in the office, because ISE is the most important thing to attend, but I can still deal with some of the things that are left.
Absolutely.
So
we talked a little bit about the corridors, and the RAI has undergone some changes in the last year. You guys have the RAI has a new hall.
Yes.
What other things should people expect coming into the show, whether with keynotes or special events you guys got going on?
Well, the first thing, we have 2 new halls. One fixed structure, which is new, and the RAI just finished. I saw it last week, and it really is nice the way they've done it and integrated it. It actually joins what used to be Hall 9, is now Hall 10, and this new hall is now called Hall 9, and it fits right between what was 8 and 9.
Okay, so, all right.
So now you don't have this long corridor to walk through, you walk through another hall.
Gotcha.
So we've added that. We've got a temporary structure in the middle of the whole facility as well. So you'll see 2 new halls at ISE. Will be 14 halls next year. So a jump from 12 to 14.
Yeah.
So that's phenomenal for us. It's nice to see we have this growth, not only in exhibitors increasing, but new exhibitors as well. And then we're putting new things in. We started last year, we introduced the closing keynote rather than the opening keynote. And we're continuing with that. We found a lot, everyone came to us and said that was a great experience to actually do it on the last day. Many of our exhibitors who didn't have time to attend the keynote at the beginning of the show because they had too much preparation time, said, actually, we can take that 1 hour before the show opens and attend this keynote.
On Friday.
On Friday. So this year we've signed a contract now with Daniel Lamar. He's the CEO of Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
Now this is a phenomenal experience that uses our technology within their show. So he's going to be talking about how Cirque du Soleil uses AV technology and how important it is for them. I think it'll be quite an inspiring presentation that he does. I think Cirque du Soleil itself is inspiring, but I think he's also going to be talking about his relationships and how they develop shows, with
Michael Jackson, the Beatles, Elvis,
etc. And how they develop these concepts and ideas as well. And I find the story behind the story really interesting as well. We are discussing about an opening event. We haven't finalized, but maybe we'll do the next couple of weeks, and we'll announce it as soon as we do. I'm sure we'll be talking again before the show to actually tell everybody everything that's new. We have lots of exciting stuff happening. We've increased the amount of theatres, so we have our on-floor theatres, which are spread around the building. We have the Unified Communications Theatre. We have a Smart Building Theatre, covering the theme of smart building. We have a residential solutions theatre, we have an audio solutions theatre, and we have a commercial solutions theatre. So commercial will cover everything from digital signage to the newest in displays. Residential is focused very much on residential. The audio theatre will cover both commercial and residential audio. UC is everything on collaboration. And we're just putting together, well, in fact, we've almost finalized the programs there. So that'll be quite exciting. Those are free to attend. You can just drop in, they're 40-minute sessions, a nice way to actually get some knowledge.
Yep.
It's not a sales pitch. We try very hard to make sure that if you take your time to come here and sit down and do that, you're not going to be sold to. You can get independent knowledge about areas and go equipped on the show floor to understand a little bit more what you're looking at.
Well, I've been involved in the UC for the last 2 years, the last 2 ISEs,
Okay.
and it's a nice collaboration, no pun intended, between 4 or 5 very different manufacturers. So you're right, you're not sold to it, you get a good breadth of knowledge from it.
The idea is, I say, if I go to a show and I go and take the time to do something like that, I want knowledge.
Yeah.
And I want knowledge about the sector, not about just a specific product. If I want product knowledge, then I go to the exhibitor. And that's what we're trying to create. We know that there are a lot of people who come into our show for the first time, and we're doing more and more focus to bring the commercial end users in. So the guys who are actually purchasing the equipment for companies. And sometimes they have ideas, but they may not know, well, actually that exists. And we're trying to show them, hey, come and listen, get some ideas, get some inspiration. We do a lot of things at ISE to try and inspire our attendees. One of my favorites is always the entrance of hall 1 and 2, where we try to do something new every time. And this year, we're almost on the point of, we've got some great ideas, and we're trying to put the partners together to do something new there as well. And it's trying to actually say, okay, let's get a few manufacturers together to help us to create something that everyone can say, wow, I could use that.
Yeah.
So,
well, very good, sir. Thank you so much. February 7th through the 10th. Thank you. I almost said 9th. In Amsterdam.
Tuesday to Friday.
Tuesday to Friday. How do people find out about it?
You go to www.iseeurope.org, so ISEUROPE.org. You'll find all the information, programs, what's going on, what's new, exhibitor lists, floor plans, everything we have on offer. What I recommend to people as well, if you're coming into town, particularly if you're coming from the US, stay the weekend.
Yep.
The fare is going to be cheaper by staying Saturday night.
Yes, it will.
And Amsterdam is a beautiful city. I'm not an ambassador. Actually, they made me the mayor. When ISE's on, I become the mayor for the city for 4 days. But when you're there, it's such a beautiful city. And it's nice. Chill out after the show. Take the weekend there and enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, sir, thank you so much, Mr. Mike Blackman from ISE. My name is Tim Albright from AVNation.tv.